Let's do it. So, welcome everyone, and welcome to the first game that the Shusaku Study Project took through its paces. So, we are gonna have here a game that went through positional judgment, direction of play, and a reading analysis. And this game is going to be the first game we have on record between Shusaku and Shuwa. It is not exactly the first game purely chronologically that we have. We'll have this game in a couple of weeks. But this is a cool game to start with because it is Shuwa, it is Shusaku, it is probably a teaching game because Shuwa is a good chunk stronger and more stable in his skill than Shusaku is right now. But that is just the way of the world. And we're gonna have a really enjoyable game here that's gonna have a lot of kind of exciting little details to look at. Who needs technology? We have Shusaku. Yeah. So this is a 3-stone handicap game. Shusaku has 3 stones, and we are looking at Shuwa playing first because, of course, it's a handicap game. Shuwa plays in the open area of the board instead of approaching directly, and Shusaku challenges Shuwa's ability to make a base. So Shuwa immediately breaks up the position here. He doesn't let this stone be easily connected to this stone. So Shuwa is going to have an active strategy on this board. He's going to make it difficult to use something effective, for black to create something stable, right? White is at a severe disadvantage with the 3-stone handicap. So white needs to create a game that's going to leverage complications. Now here, in simple terms, one thing that's possible, so this is not what happens in the game, but a simple way of looking at this would be for black to just extend out this way. White would extend up, putting some pressure on these stones, and black might pincer. And so what you end up with here is white is able to develop a bit of a base on this side. Actually, maybe I'll have the fancy fan for all of this stuff. White can develop a bit of a base on this side. I only have to learn not to move the stones. This stone is going to be under pressure, and white can develop this area. It's really a problem. I think I might have to do this, otherwise it's the same color. It's going to be hard to distinguish. Maybe I'll do that. It'll also be thinner, so I think it'll work out better. So what we have instead in this game is Shusaku chooses a more active strategy where he's going to attach up here. So of course he's maintaining the connection here and challenging this position, right? Like if black gets to play here next, then why did white play this stone? So like this is forcing white to answer and creating a position where black gets to grow through forcing moves. So white has to respond, and white responds actively because he can't just be passive and play solid here. It would just let black would get everything he wants that way. So now you have kind of 2 options for black. You don't see them all that often. You're going to have an option here where usually here you're going to see this move if you have a setup on the rest of the board for central development. Otherwise, you're not really going to have a reason for this move. So black instead, because you don't have this center development other than these 3 stones right now, like nothing else has happened on the board, black is going to just pull back and play solid. Now at this point on the board, what we have is black is in a strong position and white is in a weak position, right? White has a cutting point here and white has a single stone here. This stone is not exactly weak, like a single stone is never a weak group, right? But it could be a weak area. But this stone could make a base here, it could get out this way, so it has a bunch of options. But this is the unclear situation, right? Now what the position that would make black very happy is if white replies here, then black would get to play here. And this would be a very nice result for black. And some of the reasons why is because black gets follow-ups here and follow-ups here, right? black can approach from this position, and then black can make this area weaker and this group stronger by attaching it here. Neither of these are necessarily, well, this move isn't necessarily a move for right now. This move is much more of a move that black would be interested in playing now because it helps expand the cornerstone. But this is not what we get, right? And a worst element of this is that white is on the small side of the board, right? Like this area suddenly now has can be developed on both sides by black. This is still very nice, as we know from from the past like 100 years of Go theory. So this is not what we have. Instead, white protects the left side, right? White plays here on the important side. He limits black's global initiative, and he's going to encourage black to spend a move to protect the top, because obviously, imagine that white gets to play this move or this move. These stones are now going to be very limited in their development, right? So now that the value of the left side has been reduced, Igos Romero, thank you for the follow. Now that the left side value has been reduced, the bottom and the right side are becoming more and more important as future areas of interest for both players, because there's only so many points you can get here and so many points you're going to be able to get here, right? So black naturally needs to protect, and here the reason he doesn't go up and further towards the center is because he doesn't want to give more strength for white here, because that reduces the usefulness of this stone, right? So instead he cuts. The sequence here is basically forced. White is going to make this trade out over here and connect. And then black needs to play a defensive move here to stabilize his group. And the result is that with a very small, like the smallest possible sequence of moves from this approach to this Hane on the attachment, white has dodged and maintained his position of strength towards the right side, towards the right side of the top. And he's now going to approach this position. Are we looking at all three aspects at once for this game? Yes, this is the first finished game that we have. So we are going to dive into every aspect that the project deemed worthy of mention. And if there's anything that you have questions about, I don't have Katago directly set up on this laptop, so I'll do my best to answer. But hopefully you will come out of this analysis and you'll be satisfied with the analysis. If you're not, all feedback is welcome. So we have here a 3-space extension, which is fairly normal. This area is undercut, but we do know that this is not something you play usually to make a base anyway. It's the potential for a base, but it's not a base directly. We're looking at Trevoke at full strength. Yeah, this is all me, totally. So the interesting thing about this is that this is a large knight's move approach away, but black still responds with the large knight's move back off, which is the standard pullback from a knight's move approach. This answer is almost definitely just rote, in the sense that this is what you do. It is the way you do it. There's no real thinking about a different way to play on this position. But it does have the impact that now the bottom is the largest area to impact, right? Because now the left side and the right side both have only have this much development, and the top is mostly gone. Now, white's approach is very indirect. Today we would really want to see R3 or O3. We would want to see these two moves today. They're just breaking up much more directly what black is doing. But white approaches from over here. And I happen to like this move better. But, you know, for whatever that means. because this extends from this position and it offers to reduce this area further. And then here, this is still incredibly open, and like the 3-3 invasion, the direct 3-3 invasion is still open. And either way, you're still gonna get, because these are large knights moves, you have a lot of agi on the approaches and the shoulder hits. Right? Now this stone has some amount of involvement in the upper side between, where are they? Between N17 and Q16, these two stones. As ladders from that part of the board are going to have, are going to be involved in this area, right? Because like ladders will just kind of work their way out. So there are some joseki and some sequences that are modified from this, and I don't have those handy. Sorry, it's my bad. I'll have to fix that for future games. But of course, this depends on the joseki or the period, the current joseki, like whether this move is good or bad really depends on what is possible and made possible and impossible by having these things. I'm confused by what Twitch is telling me about having -1 requests for hydration. So black pulls back again standard. You approach, you pull back with the large knights move. That is just what you did. This is a leftover from when the game was brought over from China, and you started off with the cross opening. This was the approach move, this was the back off move. That was just super standard. Yeah, Ego, I know, and I used it. I definitely have drunk some water already. Now, here, this is going to be better control towards the bottom than if you just played here, because it's going to be harder for white to step in here directly, even though with this you get there's a certain element of miai that you could go, but it's hard for white to benefit from even this miai, given that these are two fairly strong positions, and that it's easy for these positions to be very flexible in the profit they take from an exchange, whether it's territory or strength. This being said, it is actually harder now to expand from this position towards the center. So it looks like Shusaku probably wants to focus on making the sides harder to develop. You find interesting that the large extension was common in that time. As far as I know, so Itarios, the best I have for this is that I think this was before further analysis of the game made people realize that without area scoring, so without losing 2 points for every group on the board at the end of the game, it wasn't a very good extension. But this is a better extension for when you have area scoring. A buildier time. Maybe. I guess the current pattern is really just to fight everything, Fire Scourge, right? I have recently really enjoyed the Large Knight. Oh, how are you now? Also, hello seequ. Good to see you. So now it's white to play, and you have to choose a next place to go. And our modern eye and Shuwa's 200-year-old eye have the same idea here. We are going to play the 3-3 over here. Now, this is essentially an extension from Amashi, which is a strategy that Shuwa really enjoyed. The basic idea here is you want to allow black to attack the top. Black is going to take influence that faces the top in the variation and resist the attack towards the center. It's like white doesn't want to make it too easy for black to have a lot of strength in the center. The second thing is a concept called amasu, and this is the idea of inducing an overplay. So if black is going to press the top group too hard, then white will be able to profit from black's what's the word? From black's insistence, right? Like if black's plan becomes too rigid, then white can profit from that. I think they weren't as eager to settle local positions quickly as we do these days. Yeah. It's kind of a trap, as even AI dislikes debating it, but most one-down players don't know that. The AI, well, it's fair enough. This is, so, it's a little bit of a bait, but it's not a very big bait. Like, it's not gonna be, basically, okay. Here's what Shusaku is not going to do because the result is not good. Right? Shusaku is not going to block this way. Because the problem here is, once you do this, like you can't let white get this tiger's mouth, so you have to push one more time, right? And once you're here, the white's top side is now alive. So this is no longer a group that black can attack. That's step one. And now, so you can't, and then you can't use this effectively because it's so narrow and it's white's turn to play. So, you know, white can just play back here, or do, and then these stones are going to do what? Never mind if white decides to play here, or even just like anything like this. These stones are going to have a hard time being useful. So, blocking in this direction does not work. Bait the overplay and call the students. I mean, if that works for you, you know. So, black follows the basic idea of keeping white split, right? And the top side, as we saw, is more important than the right side. So he's gonna offer white a small life here in order to keep the pressure here, which is what white knew was going to happen, right? And black is gonna have a kind of clearer, simpler attack towards the top than towards the right. Now, black would be very happy to pressure this stone, and these stones and attack them together, essentially. So what you have here is going to be a very simple pattern where black is going to try to build strength to create a coordinated attack. This is the strongest shape, right? Black wants to be thick with no shape defects. Like if you harness here, then you're going to have this cutting point that white will be able to look at to leverage with anything like a press to a direct cut to these things. And these moves go against the idea that black has, because black doesn't want to give white easy helpers in the center. You're saying Amasu could be used in a teaching game in that sense? Well, yeah, I mean that is how you would use it, right? That's literally what you would do with it. Absolutely. Now, of course, with a thicker shape, it's going to be easier to attack these stones later, right? Now, white is going to play in a fairly simple way that's going to aim for eye space. And black plays this kind of interesting little move here, which I think is very cute and very useful. This move creates a bit of a base here and prepares to press. It prepares to come around this way, right? So it prepares to attack this and profit from white defending. And another thing that this does is it makes it easier for black to have a very severe attack if black gets this particular honey at the top here. So white is going to connect. We have an empty triangle here, but this is a forcing move because it is poking at the knight's move. And now black continues connecting his own shapes. So white is a little steadier here. White is going to have an option here to ask for a forcing move, but it's going to be a difficult forcing move because it would weaken this corner. So white would probably want to come out from this direction, but these stones have to be safe before white can do that. Conversely, black is not in a rush to play here because it is white's thing to fix, right? You just have to know how many points this is worth. Now with this move, we're going to have pressure on white's, on the three main areas that white has on the board that are weak. We have this area. Oh wait, I have a fan I want to use. We have this area, we have this area, and we have this area. So now this is going to be the key element of white's strategy is going to be to manage these three weak areas and see how you don't think you've ever seen what? What do you think you haven't seen? Talk to me, Goose. Usually I see S14 instead of S15. Oh, you're talking about this being a longer slide. Yeah, this is old, and I'm guessing this is a part of the reason why you don't see this so much anymore. But it's my perspective on this is that this is the teaching sequence as well, where white played a move that's slightly suboptimal to figure out this move instead of this move, yeah, for white. But I think this is seeing how black handles the move and what black is going to do. That's my guess. But I don't really know why this was played otherwise. The next move gives forcing moves in the corner. That's true. And if white is playing solid temporarily, then the knight's move is not consistent with that strategy. That's true. So white creates a base here, and temporarily on the board, purely on the board, white is going to be up about 2 points in territory now. But if you look at all the potential that black has, black hasn't lost really the handicap advantage yet. So black still has, you know, a good solid 20 plus points advantage here. Because of the cut, yeah. So when white strengthens here, and this is nice, and it does make it a little harder for black to use these stones directly, they're still there to make white's life more complicated. But the direction for profit is not exactly straightforward here. So black leaves this alone and focuses on another weak area of black. And so the multi-pronged attack starts. And so black is going to split here. Right, so now this move limits white's left side development, because of course if white gets a move here, this looks nicer, right? Okay, anything here will look much nicer. So we make that impossible. And this is also working to use these two stones. Right, we have these areas, of course, are still the weak areas. This has a bit of a base, or almost a base, but black can play underneath and force black to enforce a move. So it's not exactly stable because there are forcing moves against this group, right? So black is putting pressure directly here to see how white responds, which will inform directions for future attacks. Now, part of the idea is that if black is able to funnel all of white's stones towards the center running, then white has to play defense. And if white has to play defense on this board, white can't win because white can't make points. So white jumps into the corner here. Like white has to focus on making points somewhere, and this is a way of building some strength that might separate this stone from these stones. And here we see a different pattern, because we're not trying to settle here, we are trying to keep this connected and separate this. So that is the reasoning behind white choosing this sequence. Also note that, of course, black has to play here. And now, there's the knight's move we're looking at, although, of course, this is one step further in, so it's not exactly the same idea. That's not the right color. Black gets to attach, white extends here and connects, and then black connects. Now, here, this is not the only... sorry, I apologize. It's white could have also extended here. But at this point, white wants to be able to poke at this weakness later on. That is part of the strategy. So white makes sure this is a cutting point and leaves black with the choice of what to do with it. And because he doesn't want to just live and then tenuki, he has a local focus here. So black plays and makes two stronger groups. Now, this stone can't be sacrificed. It is much too big. If black gets to play this, then this group is going to be so strong. It's going to be very hard for white to do anything on the board. So this move here, which is white's next move, severs, that's the word, severs the connection between this stone and this group. So now this is a weak stone that black has to do something with. And black's response is to weaken the stone while offering a connection. Right, and this is the beginning of the fight between this group, and this, which we're not going to call a group because that's what it is. It's a group with one stone, but now we're in a fight. This move is going to work on keeping the separation between, like it keeps the maximum amount of space between these groups in good shape. And it's really focusing on the outside development. Right, so at this point, the challenge for the strength in the center is really the primary concern here. Black extends simply up. This is the strongest shape, as opposed to this, which gives a cut, or this, which lets white run out, right? This is just the strongest shape, and it is white's job to figure out what to do with it. So this is going to grant black the most liberties and power against white's weak group. That is kind of the core reason for this. When we look at fights, fundamentally, we end up managing our liberties and the opponent's liberties, as well as eye shape, right? So white uses a forcing move to ask if he can connect back out, which would make his group strong. Black is forced to say no. And then white plays here, which is going to aim at this cutting point, because it's going to be hard for it's going to be hard for black to do something here right now because of this cutting point. White can use this cutting point to develop a lot of strength and make these stones pretty heavy. So black has to defend. Now this is of course not just pure gote. If he gets to press here, then this group is going to be in some trouble. So white gets out, and this is active because at this point these stones are behind the sector line. So this is where we are in this fight. We have weak stones here, and white is asking if he can take a big chunk. We have a group here that it's undecided whether this is thick or heavy. It's strong enough because of this connection here to be more thickness, but these stones here, these white stones, are really working to make this thickness useless. So black's next move is just to extend here with this jump. And now the running fight proper starts. Content. White gets out. White can't afford to let black press up, which would give more strength over here, which would turn back into strength against these stones. So this move seems patient, but it is in fact setting up directions for attack. And then this was the first move that gave us a fair amount of pause. Black turns here first. Black has a bunch of options for attack, but black plays here first. Now, what's happening with this move is black is securing eye space on the bottom and setting up some profit for these stones. Now, this is not going to be a ton of points, but it's a few points. It's a little bit of points, and that matters, especially in this 3-stone handicap game where white is playing from behind. Right? If black focuses on profit, every point that becomes black points is points that white is not going to get. So it makes life fundamentally harder and harder for white, because white ends up having to fight for fewer and fewer points. So another fundamental aspect from a fighting perspective is once you have something that looks like eye shape for these stones and a couple of points, then you have stability. And once this group is stable, that means these stones are much weaker in comparison, because now these stones are pressing against a group that they can't pressure. And that's going to be a problem fundamentally. Does that make sense? I hope that makes sense, because that's kind of like fundamentals of fights, but it's also not necessarily obvious. You think so? Okay. So let's see if the next couple of moves make sense. So white does have to live. This is the reason this is here in the first place. Like, this group does need to respond to that move. And black continues to grow. Like, this is a move that I would have a hard time making, because I would be really like, I would really want to go and make a base. I would really want to go and press here. I would want to make these stones connected out to these as fast as possible. But black is very patient in continuing the attack and continues to put the pressure on these stones, which have to worry about connecting out or making eye space or outrunning the fight. So black has made some profit, again not a lot on this side, and he's building pure unchallenged strength on this side of the board. So far this is working out a little better for black. So now white can't keep on running out, because now black can profit for free and black can profit pretty much for free, and it's just too much. So white changes direction, and white shoulder hits from this side. This is pressing on the black shape in order to actively reinforce the left side and the right side group. Black chooses to respond up here. This is the strongest local response probably, or at least it's a strong local response. It is not letting white connect out too much here. If white wants the strong group to be strong, the stronger group to be strong, that's fine. But black wants to have something to attack. If black were to respond here, white would be able to easily strengthen his weak group with, oh boy, where is it? Oh yeah, sorry. If this happens, then white with, say, this move or this move would just get to make this group a lot stronger, and black would get not much benefit from it. So this move would make sense if you were winning, but in this particular exchange, it would be too submissive as far as giving white good options for the fight. So when black plays here, white jumps very patiently. This is creating space. It keeps black separated. It's making it harder for black to connect these stones together. And of course, we're indirectly also going to strengthen this group, right? It's now going to be an effect where black comes from this side. The hope is that we can strengthen enough in some direction that it's tricky for black to just pressure and get free profit. Now black has to pressure here. He removes eye space because, you know, if you go over here, you start to make eye space. And he's preparing to split white in two. White needs to connect because otherwise it's going to be game over. And then he splits. So this is I like the sequence of going up and then down in this knight's moves over here. Now white is split. The benefit of the split is that black now has 4 groups to attack in rotation. Right, so sorry, before I go further, this is a weak group, this is a weak group, this is a weak group, this is a weak group. I keep on forgetting I have the fan. I gotta get used to it. So, weak group, weak group, weak group, weak group. And we can figure out how we're gonna profit from these attacks by choosing the right order. Now white asks if he's able to connect, and now white is going to balance out the weaknesses of his groups very carefully. Black gets stronger, and again, this is, you know, 2 stones here, making it harder for white to connect effectively, and asking if he can cut, which would be a death warrant for these stones. And it's also easier to remember about in the summer. I know it's like, oh, this isn't working. Right. Hang on a second. Yeah, much better. In the summer, I'm not gonna want to stop fanning myself to poke at the board. So, of course, another note is this is fixing the Kema shape, right? It's not just poking at this, it's also taking this, transforming this Kema shape into an anvil shape and peeping. And it's preparing to separate this 2-space jump. So white is forced to respond and connect. Like, not much of a choice here. And then, that's the catch-22, yes. And then we ask about the split, and we ask how much we can capture. So white is gonna get out. Black is going to keep white's split, which is the whole point. All right, rip white. It might be a little early to say, but it's certainly something to consider. Because white does have to manage 2 weak groups. So here is a weak group to manage with the turn. We're working on strengthening here. And this group here has all these directions to work from. So it's hard for black to, and it has a lot of liberties. So it's a very strong group from a pure fighting perspective. So it's hard for black to use a loose shape around this group. But this move here was pretty defensive, so black gets to turn underneath. And the important thing here is that this removes white's ability to play this move. And this push, of course, black would have to respond against this corner. And it would, and this move would give white better options for ice space. So this makes it harder for black to leverage, for white to get ice space on the bottom. When white connects here, in order to, avoid this becoming just free points, this move is worth +3 liberties for white. So as far as the fight is concerned, this was an important move for white to get. And now that this group is stronger, this group could be sealed, and it could be a fair amount of points, but it would be a gote move for black to just live here. And there are bigger things happening on the board right now than this corner. So black is going to play on this side to work on surrounding in this direction. So it's better now to lean here versus when black pushed over here. Now all the black stones are coordinated against white right now. Like the black is doing a very good job of making white's life difficult. So far so good. White jumps on us. Now we have a strong group that probably, right, again we have two strong groups. Sorry, let me fix this. We have two thick groups. But they both don't have eyes and they both have to get out. So this is an effort to see if you can seal, but it's also kind of acceptable to work in whatever direction happens. Because if you move away this way, you're going to impact these stones. And if you move away this way, you're going to impact this shape. And there's moves where black will probably want to defend here. So white can become stronger. Now, according to there's kind of three moves to look at for black. You're going to have pushing here directly, you're going to have this knight's move, and you're going to have kind of pulling back here. Now this is the move that black plays next. Black plays here. And this move is -6 points. Now this is just, according to the AI, this is kind of the first really big mistake that Shusaku plays. Question about the Shusaku Study Project. Is there a goal of creating a deliverable, compiled commentary on each SGF, any narrative? The answer is yes, on two fronts. The video that's the stream we're doing now is going to be one of the deliverables. And if you go into the announcements channel for the Shusaku Study Project, you're going to find a link to the review on OGS for this game. So that's going to be the first deliverable. I probably don't want to keep using OGS long term as kind of the repository for these, because OGS is not meant really to hold this kind of stuff. So there's a chance that at some point I'm going to take a 2-week vacation and just like hack together some kind of website to encourage something like this to be done. So hopefully at the end there's going to be public domain commentary for every Shusaku game. And that's what we're doing. Something like Go for Go. I can't remember what Go for Go looks like exactly. Maybe. But most websites that have pro games have pro games for the sake of having pro games, basically. And I don't think there's anything that really focuses on commentary as being the primary reason for the website to exist. So I think there's room for kind of a different user interface, a different focus, a different kind of way to use the board position. Okay, so let's look. If we're looking at this board here, at this move, it seems to want to cover these two weaknesses, the weakness here and the weakness here. These are two weak points in black's shape. So we probably want to cover that while removing white's eye space on the bottom. So it seems like it's an effort to try and squeeze white out. No sites with a commentary as the raison d'etre, if you will. Yes, Fire Scourge, that is exactly correct. Now this might be, you know, as much as this move is -6 points, it might be a matter of keeping the game somewhat simple because he has a 3-stone handicap and he knows he's ahead. So it might just be that he wants to avoid a more complicated fight, and it's okay to play a worse move because of it. Yeah, Bugcat also suggested Go Kibitz, but Go Kibitz, don't think it fits what I want. So was the Knight's move or the push better? If I recall correctly, this is the actually, hang on a second. I say if I recall correctly, but I have okay, no. So I actually have some variations I can show you specifically for this. Haha! Turns out. Look at you asking good questions. So if let's go with this one first. If you do this, you're not in a ton of danger, because if you look at what happens, if you go here and black turns here, white connects, you push through, you're gonna have a Liberty Race problem that you're gonna have to manage for these at some point. But when you get to this position, you do end up needing to do this kind of connection, because otherwise, like, this is just death without any kind of profit. Now here we can look at two ways to continue from sorry, there's two ways out from this one. If we look at the local answer, let's do that first. The local answer is over here, right? And black needs to protect here because of the Liberty Race, the Liberty Shortage. So black can play this way, which finishes sealing off this group. And then when white connects here, black would then come back finally and just take and close that off. And this is a lot stronger, but now there's going to be a way to profit from a fight here. It's going to be, it's not clear cut, but that's the idea, right? Now if we go back away from this local move and jump to here directly, if white pawn is here after we get this cut, black gets to Atari here, white connects, and black gets to come back. And then black gets to play this move anyway, which I forgot to remove, but this is still here, right? So white ends up with this long string of stones on the board, but these stones have done nothing useful, and black has all of this strength here now. Now, mind you, clearly white has, you know, this forcing move here, but it doesn't do a lot very useful, right? Like, the point is, all this profit here is going to be for black. So this is not a good result for whites if you do this. My word. Now I have to backtrack. This is the hard part about doing this real board thing, is like, oh no, which moves were here, which moves weren't. I think all of this goes away. I think this goes away. I think this goes away, and this goes away, and this goes away. Oh, and this move goes away. Okay, so I think that's everything removed. 1 second. Okay, this is where we are. You get some single convex stones. I think I may have given them away to somebody else. I had a board, the flat board, that has single convex Yinzi stones, and I used it specifically for this purpose, but I don't remember what I did with it. I don't like them that much. So anyway, if we look at the other thing here, we get this push. Right now, this is natural, and the problem, of course, and the reason this is okay is because these stones aren't alive either. So if you look at the rest of this exchange, it's going to look like this. You get to push here. White needs to defend this area. Black gets to play here and push on this side. White at this point is sealed in, so white needs to worry about eyes. And once you're here, you've got this position set up. Now, black gets to ask if he can also seal in these stones. And now, this is a tricky, again, position where if white just squeezes out, black gets to destroy this area. So now, black has to sort of counterattack here, like temporarily. Black needs to just make eyes. Yes, this is the one where black plays that super cool clamp on the bottom. White continues the attack. Black descends here. And then when white descends and does this jump to keep things separated and try to make some eye shape and set up more possible liberties for a fight, black is going to just clamp on it. Right here. That's the clamp fire squirt I had in mind. Now, when white keeps this separated, black gets to create this connection, and white is in a position where the fight isn't exactly what matters, because white wants to make eye space, right? White really wants to make eye space here. It's really important. So, at this point, we're gonna have an eye here and an eye here, so black is gonna be alive. And now white would go out over here to make some more points. Black would keep things split, and now white, sorry, gets to come back to try and connect out, and black is content to just defend. And white gets to connect out this way. Now, at this point, black is alive and gets this wall. And white is alive and goes to P9. Sorry, this P9 is over here. So this would be two possible continuations that maintain the balance of the fight better. But again, this is probably something that my particular guess that Shusaku was less interested in this, because he doesn't necessarily want to continue this going. He wants to just make the points and win, essentially. So he doesn't really care so much. This move, yeah. I feel you, Fire Scourge. I do. Alright, remove that. Remove that. Remove that. 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 Remove that. Remove this. Remove this. This. Remove. 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 Oh boy. Remove. Use that move. Use this. Use this. Use this. Use this. Boom. Boom. Okay, here we go. We're back to the beginning of the variation. So these were the ideas behind cutting, which were better moves, right? But black doesn't go in this direction. Black plays this backwards move and just removes the eye space, keeps this entire area a lot simpler, essentially. But the downside is he gives white the ability to play first, right? Like this gives white the opportunity to play here first. And if you remember from the variations, white ended up trying to play this move anyway. Which cut is better? I think this cut is better. Don't take my word for it. I will I can check with katago. Well, I mean, I can do a very slow ass check right now with my local katago engine. See how that works out. I think I am gonna have to buy different stones, I think, because one of the things about playing on a real board like this is that I have to hold all the stones in my hand, and it's not super great to hold the shell stones in your hand like that. They don't do well with like human oils. Alright, so as far as which cut is better, actually I think pushing straight is considered better, but it's really like 99.8 versus 99.7, so you know, take it with a grain of salt. So when white comes out here, black blocks here. Now this move keeps track of the balance of territory and is trying to maximize the pressure on the white groups. So he's trying to remove the base from these stones in order to have a more significant attack. It's a lot of reading too. It's the other thing. That is the... you have to understand these sequences. And that is why reading has its own week. Yeah, to really just figure out these things. Because you can't just like plug in the katago variation. You have to understand the variation and really figure out on the whole board. Like locally or on the whole board, the exchanges and the points. So white continues to make shape for himself and to get stronger. Black connects. White descend to make some points. Now black cuts. Oh no, look at that. The ladder is good for black. Curses. So white can't just Atari here because that would just be a problem, right? Boom, like these stones die or this goes away, like it doesn't work out. So this is a nice little cut. It's pretty. But it's also not entirely sente. So white gets to push here and say, can I jump here, take away the points? Can I do something in this way? And now black comes back and plays this move. So it's also entirely possible that Shusaku saw this first, saw this sequence, and knew that if he plays here, white can come back and make an eye and come back out. And it's possible he was trying to remove this eye space so that he could put more pressure on this cut, right? That's entirely possible, but the downside of doing it this way is that now these two get to operate completely independently. Reading God. Well, yeah, he was very strong at reading. Somebody ate his Tsume Wheaties. So white gets to come out more aggressively here with this group. And this is trading the corner points by saying, go ahead and take this, right? And he's gonna get to take the strength to attack. Because this group here is mostly out, but it's not entirely safe yet, right? Now, there's this expression that comes up in the commentary we have that I like, which is that the points are only as good as you can spend them before Yosei. So when you have thickness, when you have points, right, there's a time to trade them off for something else, and that is before the end of the game. When you get to Yosei, it's too late to trade, right? Well, it's almost always too late to trade. Oh, man. Tsumegos. Nice. Nice. So, where am I? Right. Now, so this move helps the left side settle, and white hopes to stabilize the tensions on the board this way. the top side attack is coming, like black is going to attack this soon, and white wants to be ready for that attack. Now, at this point, black has two good attacking options. One is going to be could use honey here, a good start to remove the connection and put pressure here. And the other one is going to be, where is P8? Just extending up here, right? These would be two pretty good extensions that would change the balance on the board and start to cause some trouble for the white groups directly attached, which give you strength to attack those groups. Now, black, instead of attacking directly, is going to move towards the center simply and force white to choose which group to defend. Oops. So white is going to defend this group. White is going to dangle the center stones here. It's going to say, hey, look, maybe you can attack these. They're here. They're weak. What you going to do? I'm going to strengthen this area of the board. Now, if you allow black to extend and honey, the game's over. So you can't let both happen. You have to remove one of them. So this was the choice. Now, this is a very difficult choice to make here. Our best guess is that Shuwa figured having the right side stronger would be easier in the conflict than trying to fight off this thing, which has a lot of room to do trades and impact these stones. So black fixes the other thing and pressures the group. So this should look slightly familiar. White has to worry about eyes, but instead of blocking like in the other variation, black is pressuring here once. White is gonna have to stay connected, kind of important, otherwise this dies, right? And white extends eye shape a little bit. White is gonna poke at the weakness of the group. Black continues, is pretty content to be making more strength to attack with. And white connects solidly here. So now black is going to begin to shift his focus on this attack, but he has to bridge his way up, and he's going to do it this way. Now this protects the cut at C10 more indirectly, but it's also putting pressure on these stones, right? And now we're really beginning to cut off the directions. Like this group can't go this way easily. It could go this way, but now we're cutting off this path, and this path has been mostly cut off. So we are choking off all of the exit points, all the exit strategies for these stones. And now white wants Sente to defend that group. How does A9 not work for black? Here to kill. Good question. I think the problem... Oh boy. Hang on a second. It might just not be a priority for B at the moment. So the difficulty is that this move is here to kill the group, but there's a lot of things on the board that are unresolved. This is a good question, mind you, and I'm surprised we don't have it answered. And there's enough weaknesses around here that if black takes the time to play this, then white gets to play other moves. And I think even asking if we can do this Actually, wait, hang on a second. I may have a better answer. I have a better answer. Okay, so the better answer. The better answer is, what do you do if white pokes at the shape here? And you also have like this cut here as well, because these stones are connected, but there's enough weaknesses here. So this group here, while it might be technically dead, as in it doesn't have two eyes, is very strong still. And black is creating... Black is still balancing out a sort of short... the word. White can wedge at LA, that's probably also true. I don't think I looked at the wedge, but... Oh yeah, just that one. So at this point, I think you choose, but if you choose to connect here, you end up in this position, and then you have to worry about that position. This is now stronger, and I think you're going to be able to deal with cutting points or further wedges here. Live in Gode at H8. Here, right. Just live. I forgot. Once you have this, you can just make an eye. So, I forgot about that. Thank you, Fire Scourge. My brain was just like moving forward in the SGF. Does that make sense? Paroxysm? So white is alive no matter what. Yes, white is alive here at this point. So I'm wrong. When I said that this killed, I was completely wrong. I was wrong. Good thing this is recorded. Yeah, I know, right? They're forever. And I'm not even good enough at like video editing to even like pretend this never happened. It definitely happened. So here on this particular direction, we're gonna go in the only path forward that makes any sense, which is find a way to keep black split from this group and connect these stones. Now, here, this is tricky because you really want this move as white. The wedge can be answered with a throw-in. True, because you have to respond to it, because there's a liberty shortage. But at this point, if you get that, then you have a ko, right? The cut is more interesting, yeah. So you, as white, you want this. Throw in cut, cut, ko. Yeah, probably. I think that's where you go with this. This conversation happening in chat is fantastic. I love every second of it. I'm just sad that it's hard to properly keep track of this on the board, but maybe this is where every move white has as a local threat. Yeah, that's the other thing, right? It's like white has almost infinite threats for this ko, whereas black doesn't really have something yet. Like black is building weaknesses, but other than like maybe this, it's gonna be a threat here for black. Maybe a threat here. Probably something here. Probably a threat here to kill this corner, I think. And then there's probably something around here. That's the threats. That's why everyone should join the SSP. Yes, everyone should join the Shusaku Study Project. This way you can add all those variations. You can answer all these questions for everyone else in the world forever. F6-2, also a threat. Yes, you're right, because that threatens to cut and kill. Okay, now this next move, which could be here, is not played here. White instead played here. And white is gonna let black make the first move on the top. Like white has the option, but white doesn't. And our guess is that this is Shuwa's test for Shusaku. Like Shuwa wants to see what Shusaku does with this group. Because if you look at the board, and you consider that we started off with 3 weak groups, right? This is now stable. This is now stable. This is stable. This is stable. This is still fairly stable. Now this is the only unsolved answer. So white has really made up quite a ways here. Shusaku. This is assuming A9 was played instead of D12. So there are threats over there as well. True. True. All right. In practical play though, here, white can exchange this move for Q3 and then play H14 to add a stone to strengthen the top or the right side while raising the center moyo. So black does respond here normally, and here you have a mistake from Shuwa, so, or like a a suboptimal move. White plays this move, and this move loses 4 to 7 points. It's about a 4-point loss, I think. White should play over here. This is absolutely the bigger thing, and that's because of course it goes back to what we were just talking about, that white wants to help these stones. It's not a setup for the monkey jump, it's a setup for settling the group. Like if this group is no longer a weak group, then what's black gonna do? Like now, it's a matter of erasing all of these points. Oh, R2. Sure, but it's not like there's a ton of points here to remove anyway. Like, I mean, yeah, it's 5 points, so it makes a difference, but it's not the right direction. That's the key, right? So the trick here, so if you play here as white, then black kind of has to jump in now, pretty much. Oh, sorry. Yeah, so black can jump here. This is a bit of a longer variation, but you have this exchange here. Black can turn white honey. You think you could kill the black group? This black group? Yeah, the black group is connected over here, or you can make eyes with it. So this is not the game variation. Quick reminder, this is what would happen if white played up here as a likely exchange. Black would descend here to offer a connection. White needs to worry about living actively. And as he gets out, black, that's not the right color. All right, see ya, Salara. So black would connect here. White would descend. Black has to protect his group. And then black can turn. Oh, we have a few more moves here, but and now you can see how having this extension is becoming useful in this exchange, right? Like white can go here. Black descends to stay connected. And then white and play here. So you're gonna end up in a slightly tricky position as black over here. You have to like play gote moves to connect and have a weaker group. One of us. So this is one of the ways through. There's going to be another option after this where black plays something different. We're going to go through that now. Just to kind of showcase the different possibilities. Oh my. I think all of this goes away. This goes away. This goes away. And I think... Yes, okay, cool. So this is the board position as it would be if white plays here. Now the other option is very simple. It's not nearly as long. It's just if black plays here and takes the corner, like white can just play here, become thick in this area, and just be patient and wait. Super simple, right? Just nothing fancy. It's a pure trade of points for what's the word? Actually, it's well, points for strength, right? Simple enough. But that's not where we go in the game. The game itself stays in this particular position this way, and then white descends here. S3. We don't get S3 just yet. We get R2 here. Now, the reason for this move here, this is putting pressure on black's base. It is aiming for the cut at J2. So it's really aiming to be able to do this. So it's a two-pronged attack. That's what we're trying to do here. S3, yes, if black cuts. No, yeah, you're right. Yes. White R18, so if white goes here, would stabilize the weak corner and support the top stones, which is what we just went over, and weakens the top right. So yeah, we went over that. So, oops. So white plays here, and black follows up by saying, okay, it is time to put pressure on this group, this is a direction to weaken this group that now makes sense because this way out is gone. So by building more strength here, oops, wrong color. He's also going to build, again, more pressure on this group indirectly. Now here, the normal response is the one Shuwa plays. The normal response is this. And this is a mistake of like 3 points or so. The move that white should play is this move first. It's fairly simple exchange, but this would be a better result. White would get to play this move directly to finish life, and black would need to play this in order to not let all of this be connected in strength. And then white can just strengthen here. So here, this exchange generates ice space, and then you can just live. You guys can Tsumego after this stream. Neil, after this Tsumego, I'm gonna be brain dead. After this, see, I can't even speak. After this stream, I'm gonna be brain dead. I'm gonna need a break. I think, I think I'm gonna start forcing people to like do these streams so they understand like how mentally intensive it is to do these things. Like maybe I'm a wimp. I don't know. I have no idea. I'm not gonna know until other people do it too. So anyway, we go through this exchange here, and white Ataris here. But, you know, good morning, Neil. It's good to see you. Sumego battle. Alright, so now that we have this exchange here, now white doesn't quite have complete ice space yet, but if white gets a turn here, white will have ice space, right? And this group is alive and is fine. The pressure on this group is growing, and black gets to play this honey. And this honey is worth at least 7 points on the board. So, there is a Tsumego battle thing on 101 Weichi, I think. I can't remember. But there actually is a thing where you like battle for speed, for solving problems faster than the other person. Okay, so now I think this is, I'm confused by this. Oh yeah, okay, right. So now black steps in right here. So here this is an interesting position because technically this is a 3-point mistake. Now again, we have to remember that this started off as a 3-stone handicap game, and holy moly, I've been doing it like an hour and 20 minutes of review, and I am not halfway through this game. Jesus. So the simplest pattern would be to just play here, the shoulder hits. This would be a direction to just get profit. Just play something simple, right? Just like ask white which direction to go in. If white makes a base here, you get to make a wall here, and then you can just make points. But black wants to split. Black seems to just want to really ask what white is going to do. If we look at the simple exchange here, you would have this move and this move. And you can see how these two stones here, actually, this is a good example, good use for the fan. This move, this stone, and this stone both impact the ice space for white. It's going to be hard, it's going to be difficult for whites to make two eyes with this thing. But that's not the path that Shusaku chose here. Shusaku chooses this. And you've been enjoying the stream? Good, I'm glad. Do you know how many hours I spent on this game now? I think I'm coming up on 15 hours. Chooses violence. Yeah, chooses violence. You are welcome, Itarios. This is exhausting, just for the record. So here, black chooses a simple path, and just does a bump. This is apparently a 5-point mistake. Now this might be the part where Shusaku is trying to simplify the game a lot, or the game is in fact already kind of complicated, and he doesn't want to add more. The strongest move would be this one, and I'm going to walk you through kind of what the AI suggests for the variation. You will recognize some of these moves because we saw bits of them in the other variation. But now that the board position is a little different, things will change a little bit as well. Right, so we're going to have this and this here. Here. We're gonna now white Itarios in this direction and extends. Black continues to extend here, and now white is forced to trap in this position, which is kind of unpleasant. So this is much better point-wise for black. I'm gonna kill it in the Congress. How? I mean, what am I gonna do? Like put the video on YouTube somewhere and go, okay, here's the thing on loop. Here's the results. Do you want to be a part of making this commentary happen? Enjoy it, right? Maybe. It's certainly an option. Maybe I can talk to the organizers and say, hey, I have this cool thing I want everyone to do with me. I have actually been waiting for... I've been waiting for at least one game to be done and one video to be out, so I could make another another push on Facebook and whatever, and then I could send a message to the AGA e-journal to say, hey, I have this thing, this is what it looks like, I want more people to join, come hang out. So we have this soft bump here, white gets to cover, black is here, white does a double honey, black gives us this, connect, connect. Now this is where things get intense, right? Like here's white heavy with no eyes, and white, and this is the primary group we're going to be concerned with, right? So white gets out, white stretches his wings. That's what we're doing here. And black's next move is to poke here. Now, connecting is what Shuwa does. Shuwa connects. He just does this. Very simple. This is a 4-point mistake. It's possible. It's, you know, we'll never know because they're all dead. But Shuwa could be slightly more aggressive and could turn here first, because this would be actually a thing that black has to worry about. And you have options. If black chooses to connect this way, then white can cover this way, and if black pushes, wait, hold up, I removed one extra stone, I think. Oh no. Oh no. When did the stone get added to the board, and when did I miss it? It's not too far back, but we're gonna have to replay this because at some point I lost the stone, and it is like 20-ish moves. So before, God, this is, I lost this stone, but before white plays this move, black does have this honey here. Yeah, E13. Thanks, Fire Scourge. Thanks for the help. That is in fact the move I lost. No, Paroxysm, I can't. It's been almost, it's like an hour and a half. I'm the moment reading is not going to just click in my head. It's going to be like a ton of work to just kind of like hack away at it over and over. But and you have to realize, Itarios, I am reading from the SGF commentary right now at the same time, so a lot of what I'm saying is guided now. So if black connects, this is where we are. If black connects over here and white gets to push and black pushes, white gets to cut here. And now black's goal of simplifying just doesn't work. It just hasn't worked at all. This is going to be a big fight now. It's going to be very complicated, right? So if black doesn't connect after this Atari and instead pulls back, this is the answer that the AI recommends, then white can take this stone, and when black pushes here, white wedges. The AI recommends just connecting here, and then white can press here. Locally, this is going to be a ko. That's going to be where we end up. Black can attach over here to settle, to aim to settle. So this peep turns out to be a move that's not as great as it could be. Yeah, whole board Tsumego, right? That's actually, if you did the whole board Tsumego, I'd probably be more okay with it. It would feel like it would feel worthwhile. But the problem is, fundamentally, at some point, I am just missing out the pure dumb reading and live shape part of it. Okay, so we're back to here where black peeps. Crucially, black hasn't. Thank you, Fire Scourge. And that is not here either. Nope, A9's not here. And neither is the wedge, and neither is that connection. This movie's totally here though. Absolutely, completely here. And okay, we're good. We're set now. I've removed H10, we're good. Maybe that was the move that got lost? What move? No, this was the move that got lost. The board position is correct. The board position is correct, which is good. It wanders from E13 to A9. Yeah, that's what happened. No, A9 was... We just added A9 here. So here, white connects. And then black jumps back. Now, this is the valid point for attacking, right? The AI has a different approach to how to do all this stuff, but this is the intuitive shape point. And what we're doing here is we're developing the center, like we're kind of working in this area here. And this is kind of the direct thing we're doing with this stone. Indirectly, we're actually doing all of this with this stone. Like we're really poking on the directions, asking what we're going to do, because this group does not have two eyes, right? Now white comes back around and pressures this. The stones go walking. We need someone to make us a parody of when the saints go marching in. It's gonna be when the stones go walking. Unless it's these stones are made for walking and that's just what they'll do. One of these days these stones are gonna walk all over you, something like that. So when black connects, white gets to jump and make some wider shape. Now he's still behind enemy lines, right? Like we're still between. Where's my fan? We're still between these two stones, behind these two stones. So this giant white group is still in trouble. The Rolling Stones, haha. So black is going to peep here, and white is going to resist because, of course, you can't just get sealed in. That would just be death. I'd like to let everybody know, for the record, we are at move 124, and there's 271 moves in this game. Thankfully, a good number of the moves as we go through will have less analysis because they're kind of going to be, oh yeah, you follow through, oh yeah, there's the analysis and so forth. So, at this point, because white is resisting, white continues to cut. White is beginning to aim at some of the weaknesses in this area of the board as well. My kata says white should play N12 before O16. And after O16 it says M11. How does shape work? That's because of the variations and the ladders and other things that are impacted, as well as the points that you get from this stuff. That's my super hand wavy answer. I hope it's enough for you. So, for many of us who were actively worried about what you're gonna do next, black decides that now is a great time to play A9. So, white responds by saying, "Can I make life?" shape doesn't matter when you see the matrix, maybe. So black says, okay, you can't just live here. And so white says, do you mind if I push through? Seems reasonable, right? P8 is working well here. Good intuition from Shuwa. This move, yeah. I mean, it's all the little things, right? When if you think about the fact that even back then, he was kind of looking at this possible outcome and going, if I make this move here, then if black wants to keep me from just being alive and then being able to press with complete impunity against their shape, he's gonna have to let me push here, right? This becomes, look, it's a very nice little shape, right? Very pretty. Shusaku makes another mistake here, in the sense that he plays here and he expects the natural move from Shuwa. Like he expects black to play here, white to play here, which is what happens. But he aims to simplify the center. And the problem, so step by step, if you're looking at the strongest response to this push actually is here. You pressure this way. And I will not go through the entire variation because they're getting kind of somewhat long, but you end up here and you let this happen. You have the Atari. And of course, you have the double Atari in exchange. White turns. Look, Ma, it's a ko. White gets to turn here and extend. And black can connect. Right. Now there's oops. There's kind of like longer variation if black goes around instead, but the end result is very similar, where these stones are still like if they're funneled off in this direction, black makes easy points this way, so it becomes an unfortunate result for white, right? So if I go back now to where we were and I remove this, and this is the position we were in, where black plays the actual Shusaku's actual move. It turns out that there's a better response for white than to push. And first it begins with this in-between forcing move, which black has to respond to. And the idea is you enable a combination between J2 and G5. So this is going to be... I am not going to go through all of this. I'm actually going to... we're here. I am actually going to say, if you want to see this variation, look at the SGF. Because I want to finish walking through the game and we're almost done with it, but we're at move 130 and there's a lot of stuff to go through yet. But you have the idea, right? So white is content with this sequence. Like the really cool part of the game is coming up anyway. So here we have, oops, go back 10 moves. Accidentally hit the fast forward button. White gives us an Atari here. Black takes this move. And this is the first capture of the game, believe it or not. For me, that's a little hard to believe, but yeah, like it's also, we're like in the middle game, so it's not that surprising. Now here, white is gonna ask about cutting through, so black connects solidly. White is going to ask about shape. And here we begin, we have a couple of like endgame-y looking sequences, but really we are trying to, we're still trying to kill this area. Like the middle game is not over because this group can still die, right? Now this is a big early endgame point. It erases a lot of the potential for white on the right side. White gets to respond with this move, and black connects, and then white gets to connect. Now, these stones aren't exactly connected yet, but it's easier to see them being alive. Black continues to aim to simplifying here. White plays a shape down here. Black closes this off. We push once. Block. And Atari. Followed, of course, by another Atari and an extension. Then black simplifies this area ever so slightly and continues pressure on these stones. White establishes a base for himself over here, and black starts to pressure this group. This responds. Black asks about the shape here and basically reduces white. And black cuts. Now this, here there's some stuff to talk about. Technically, for points, playing here would be better. Now there's a couple of things that are going to be weird about the AI suggestions from this point on, because black is behind. Sorry, because white is behind. So it's going to try to do sort of slightly crazier things. But the simple response for white is just this. Now, black plays here. The AI here would want white to sacrifice 3 stones, because if you just play here, it turns out you're alive with R1. Sorry. Yeah, so taking R1 and having T3, like you get to make 2 eyes anyway. Right? You take this or you capture here, you're fine. Black will get to eat the 3 stones by descending over here, but that's going to be in Gote. So it's not super useful, right? Now, this being said, that's not exactly the path that Shuwa follows. When you get here, white actually captures here. And black descends, and white connects. Now, it's important to note that technically this is a mistake. This is a life and death mistake. If you play here, you're just alive in the corner. But the problem is, that's not enough to win. So, Shuwa plays here, even closer to the edge. Shuwa plays here and basically baits Shusaku into playing a better move, to playing moves that may shift the balance of power a little bit. So, and this is one of the reasons why I think this is best recognized as a teaching game. Right? So black says, okay, let me do this. And we play down here. Capture. And this looks a lot like a ko, doesn't it? So, co-threats. Actually, sorry, this is not a co-threat. This is activating, creating a better position for the code. This is just saying, can I eat a whole bunch of things? Can I destroy this area significantly and make more points? So white gets to activate the ko here. Black captures. White gets to play his first co-threat here. Did I? Oh yeah, there's definitely more here. Okay. Wait, I'm confused. Oh yeah, never mind. Okay. Sorry, I was looking at a variation and I got slightly confused. So here the move you actually want to play through the ko here. So the AI suggests that you should play here and work your way through this. So you would capture this. Black would get this forcing move and would capture. White would get this forcing move, which black can cover. And you can capture from here. Black gets to play this other forcing move to connect. White gets to prevent. Black connects. White has this forcing move. Black has to respond here. White gets to force one more time. And now when white takes the ko, black takes here. And at this point, this is where things move up from the local area out into here. So normally, to really stay on the edge, black should take this ko. Should not take this ko. Black should play out this variation. But that's not where black goes with this. Black instead just takes the ko. So I'm about to take off a whole bunch of stones from the board. Well, I guess not quite. Close. No, I am taking off a lot of stones from the board. That's what's happening. So we get this, this goes away. Pretty much all of this goes away, I think. This stays here. These stones go away. Ba-da-dum-dum. This is here. And oh, there's one more stone that's here. And the board position we're in has 3 captures, 2 captures, but it is black's ko. So take Caius? What? I don't know what that means. Oh, the captures. The captures are over here. This is something else. This is like the stones in my hands. I have to play here first as black when white plays his threats. And I think that's where I am now. Okay. Now we get to see the next move, and black plays this, and we capture all of this. Now, the interesting thing to note, of course, is that this is actually, this is apparently a 15-point mistake. This is a big mistake, it looks like. Now, this is also a safe move in the sense that black is actually counting that he's going to win. Technically, of course, we should go through the ko. You should at least step back once. But this is the choice he made here. And he can afford to sacrifice a bunch of points because he's got 3-stone handicap he's still working off of, right? So white gets to sacrifice here. This is the vital point for this area. K2 is punished, and black is not alive yet. So now we're going to get to the next important section. Where are we here? Oh man. Now the vital point here is the point that white plays. White lives. Black gets to say, can I have a ko at least? White says, if you really want a ko, okay. And then black connects out this way. Now this is supposedly a 5-point mistake. It's a Tesuji that black uses to make a ko fight at e1, and it threatens j2. But here it's not really where you need to be. And the reason why is because white can just play this. So black is going to set up a ko as much as possible here. He's going to play, white will indulge him, saying, okay, we're going to play a ko. And now white captures these 2 stones. Black captures this, and the ko is on. White says, I don't want this group to die, so he gets to defend, and black gets to defend this area. Now this is... these are tricky point balances. They're really stuck in this exchange here. But they're really going to fight this ko, and you're going to keep track of the evolution of the board. Like these stones, because... remember that these stones were the big... there are a lot of points. And this group isn't exactly alive yet either. Right? So we get a forcing move here. Is j2 there? Yes. White plays here in response to black's move here. This is not just a ko for a black eye. This is a ko for... yes, it's a ko for a black eye. But if black gets this eye, then black gets to live. So it's a pretty important ko. So we're gonna go here and take. White is gonna descend in here. Supposedly the move that you should just play is actually the throw in here, but yeah. Let me continue through. This is a ko threat, so it's fine. We're okay with this, and we take. And then black has a ko threat here, asking if he can split, which makes sense, right? And then white says no. Black takes. White is gonna ask what he can do up here. Black is going to respond because that's important, right? And so white gets to continue this. Black asks again, can I take this massive group of stones? White is gonna say, well, I would rather you didn't, really. Oops. So black gets to take the thing. White gets to Atari these stones. Black says, well, no, really, I would rather you not do that either. And here is maybe the surprising thing when black says, can I split? Can I cut? White says, nah, I don't care. Now, white here should continue the ko. Like, white is not supposed to do this. But almost definitely they counted, or Shuwa counted, and knew that this would lead black to win by a tiny amount. So black splits. And so what has just happened is these stones, these white stones are dead, right? But these black stones aren't alive either. So, you know, it is a big trade. So here we're going to continue through this sequence to close out the the board position. Working our way up here. White is going to say, can I do something here? Of course, black is going to say no. Important little details. Wait, that's not the right color. No one caught it. White says, can I take this stone? Can I connect? Black says you can't connect. White says, can I do something and make more points? That's as far as you go. And so now we're pretty firmly in endgame at this point. Right? We're just closing off the territory, taking the points where we can find them. There's nothing super exciting happening on the board now, but we should take a look when we end the game at how we're going to count this, because it's going to be fun, or some definition of fun. Close that off. Close that off. Close that. Push. Close. Atari. Oh boy. So many stones. No one told me this game would have so many stones. Do you mind if we cut through this? You can't. We're gonna take an eye here and take an additional stone because it's points. Ask if we can take these stones. Look, this is not a real eye. Close. Push. Close. Push. Almost done. We got 20 moves to go. And this is the end of this, just so you get to see the end board position we have in the game record. Oh. White asks if we can push through here. And nope, small reduction of points. Atari. Connect. Push over here, asking if we can make another point. Ask if we can take, reduce this. Close. Close. Did I miss a move just now? I think I didn't. No, I didn't. White connects, black turns, connects. Now we get to go back. We get to push here. White gets to have one eye with 1 point. And that is the last move we have in the game record. So R11 is dead. What? Hang on. Yep, that's gone. Yeah. All right. So that's our end game position. And it's a massive trade. right? Because like it's not white. Sorry, black isn't going to be able to make two eyes here. It doesn't really matter how hard you try. I don't think it's going to be possible, really. So these stones are dead, but these stones are dead. And where this takes us is, what this takes us is black wins by 1 point. So after this ko and this massive trade, black wins by 1 point. And I think, for me, this is why I think this is a teaching game. This is why I think Shuwa just, you know, poked at some of Shusaku's approaches and was really testing the way he thought about the game and his ability to keep track of various balances of points and shifts. Whew. Okay. It is time to put the stones away, and it's gonna be time, I think, to raid somebody too. Right. So let's put these stones away and see what we can find. I hope you all enjoyed this very first run through a game made by the Shusaku Study Project. We are looking for more people who are willing to spend their time helping and practicing doing the taking these games through their paces, through the 3 frames of positional judgment, direction of play, and reading. You do not need to be particularly strong to join. We have someone who's about 13Q on OGS who's participating. The weaker you are, the less the chance that we'll really be able to use your comments for the synthesis portion, so for the stuff that we bring through from one step to the next. But that doesn't matter so much, because as you go through this, and as you see especially how your comments are on or off, you will get a chance to really grow. You'll get a chance to really see how your analysis of the board is correct or incorrect, how you're missing elements, or how sometimes you hit things dead on. So as long as you're able to put in the time, you are welcome to come in and help. If we make it a small community of people, then I think we can all grow together with a very focused approach to growing instead of a more chaotic approach to growing. And things can be supplemented. Like, for instance, I am weaker in reading, so I need to do more Tsumego, and this is not exactly in the context of the Shusaku Study Project, but people who are stronger at reading can suggest ways for me to get stronger in a way that'll be helpful for the reviews. So the Shusaku Study Project, and it's time to put that link one more time in here. I don't know if there's a good way to make this fit. Like, maybe this way is good enough. Maybe without, yeah, perfect. Okay, so I'm going to, this will be uploaded to YouTube in a day or so. There's a Twitch limit of how long it can be before I can share something on some other platform, but I'm not here to try and, you know, really profit from it. So I'll put a link to that when it's available. You're welcome. I'm glad you enjoyed it. And yeah, if you have feedback on any feedback on the review, things not there, things that you think should be just easy to see, let me know. Yeah, and besides that, have a pretty wonderful Sunday, everyone. Let's see if there's someone worth rating. out here. There should be somebody. We might even have the European Go Federation. Yeah, we do. Oh my god, the European Go Federation. And... oh, that's loud. And Go Magic. What's Go Magic doing? Oh, it just... someone doing the review on the 5-3, I guess, or something like that. We're gonna raid the European Go Federation. Abanico. Very nice. Alright. Starting the raid. We are unable to raid European Go Federation at this time. Okay, that's weird. You refresh and try that again, and maybe that doesn't work, and I'll try something else. One more time. Yeah, alright, there you go. Alright, have a wonderful rest of your day, everyone, and see you around for more Shusaku Study Project. Cheers.
Besides, I have enough time.